Hello, everybody. Let me just make sure we're plugged in. You can hear me. If you see me, say hi. Oh, here we go. I can see. Okay. Oh, captions. Good, good. That's promising. All right, perfect. Say hi. So I'm going live in the Everybody's Education group as well as the Terry Hofford photography page. Hi, Jessica. Good morning. I hope everyone had a lovely holiday. We've got our intro music going today. This is my ribbon for the ribbon cutting ceremony. I realize I should have had something more festive, but this is all I could find. So this is what we're doing. Hello, Miss Alejandra. Good morning. I'll wait a few minutes since it's not even 10 o'clock. How did everyone's holidays go? How do you feel now that Christmas is over? Let me know in the comments. Tell me. What was something good that came out of yesterday for you? Tell me. What's good? What's going on? Share your good news. Tell us the things. Everyone needs positivity. Hello, Ashley. Good morning. Sorry, this ribbon is very long. I chose a very long ribbon to do my ribbon cutting. All right, so I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I was more anxious about, obviously I don't have kids, so Christmas to me is not, it's not a big deal. I live with my husband and my cat, and we don't even put up a tree. The most you get is tinsel. And that's only because I used it for a backdrop. Oh, Jane, that's fantastic. I'm super glad that it was relaxed, non-stressful. And you know what? I bet you a lot of people actually, as much as, so this shirt is from somebody I follow on Instagram called Wheelchair Rapunzel is her company name, and she's got some really good ones, but I love this shirt. So yes, go check her out. That's her shop is Wheelchair Rapunzel. So if you type that in on Instagram, you will be able to find that there. But yeah, I bet a lot of people had actually more of a relaxing holiday than not. But anywho, for myself, last night I had a fitful sleep. And because I have not been this nervous about launching anything or releasing my brain noodles into the world. I normally have my shit together and I'm like, just let it go and it'll be fine. But I don't know. I'm just sharing my true feels with y'all. This because I know how good good this could be for the photography community, I feel there's a lot of pressure. So I'm nervous. And I don't get nervous easily. So I want to thank you all for supporting me with kindness and all your feedback and all that good stuff. It has been very lovely. My poor husband, I'm like, I'm going to just be in my room all day doing lives and answering questions. So for the purpose of today's live is that I'm going to introduce the why I created the Boudoir University to begin with. Those of you that are in the Everybody's Education, you kind of have an idea, but I want to go into it a little bit more because I've had time to 6 months to really think about this. Thank you. And then we're going to do a ribbon cutting because I feel when you launch things, this is less messy to clean up than smashing a bottle of wine on my computer. So I figured I didn't want to take that route. So I figured this would be safer. Well, I don't know. Scissors are involved, but they're like children's scissors. So we'll see. And then I'm going to take us on a little tour of kind of how the Boudoir University works and answer any questions that you have. Now, because I'm doing this through Be Live, I can't really see who's commenting necessarily. So if you want me to say your name, then just put your name before, be like, hey, this is so-and-so. Hi, I have a question. And then ask ask your question over there. So yeah, okay. So this year, 2020, we all know it has brought a lot of things to light for for everyone, not just the photography industry. But within our very small photography world, there was a lot of really not super great things that happened this year, which is really, it's unfortunate that they were happening, but it is great that they came to light this year. Like if we had gone on any longer, then it could have gotten worse. So, blessings. So we had one very large community in the boudoir industry basically crumble. And maybe myself and a few people had a part to play in that because there were some not super great things happening. And that's really unfortunate because that community was really important to a lot of people. We thought it was one thing and it ended up being something else, and that's always hard, especially when those of us that were part of that community tended to feel more like misfits anyways, and then this happened. So when one day after all the dust had settled as a result of that, I was just literally, I'm going to tell you the story of how this came into my head. I was literally naked, tweezing my chin hairs. I'm not kidding you. And all of a sudden, this like brain bubble comes into my head, and it's like, what if there was like a Boudoir University where there were like human ethics courses? Literally, like I can visualize I was standing in front of that mirror, like literally tweezy. Is so ridiculous. So, anyways, I was like, yeah, what if? And immediately didn't even put clothes on. I like came over, bought the domain, the Boudoir University, and like just in case this was something. And then I went into the everybody's group and I started talking. I was like, I think I have a really good idea. I think I could see how this could be something. And to be fair, anybody that deals with the public should have these types of courses. Not gonna lie. But anyways, the boudoir industry is my business. So yeah, so then I started to think about, well, I definitely have limited viewpoints, limited experiences, and I myself have been I probably have caused harm in ways that I don't even know, just because I am a cisgendered white woman. And yes, I like sit at the intersection of fat and woman, and that those are two different intersections of oppression. But other than that, I live a very privileged life. So there were a lot of things that I might have been doing, even though my intent was good. Chances were it maybe wasn't as helpful as it could have been. And these are things that I started to realize. And then the same time that our community started on fire, essentially, our the Black Lives Matter movement really, like the height of summer, like there was all the riots and protests. And while the Black Lives Matter movement is nothing new, and it has been something that has been trying to make like it's been making a difference, like this year it just like really hit a lot of businesses. And what I saw in the photography industry was people that maybe wanted to speak up but didn't know how, so they didn't, or they were afraid that if they'd say something that they would lose clients, or they would say the wrong thing and then they would get in trouble, so they just said nothing. And that can't happen because we all know silence is violence, and that's not okay. So I then was like, okay, so there's a lot of human dynamics at play in the world right now. And these are things that need to, before anybody interacts with the public, they should have to take these kinds of courses to understand the complexity of what it means to be a human, but more importantly, a human that exists at different intersections of oppression. And literally all that is listening to people that are different than you. And I remember when I was like in my small town of Swan River, we didn't have very much It wasn't until like I went to university, but more importantly, when I started traveling, that I really started to realize that people experience the world differently than me. And I was ignorant up until that point, just because I was never affected by it. If you've been reading my posts the last few days on Instagram, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Is I never, yeah. So it wasn't until I started listening to stories of people that look different than me and believing them. And this is where like one of my strengths that I have is I do have really high empathy. So I could say, holy shit, I cannot imagine what that must be like to exist there. Let me help you with this. So yes, exactly. This is that we want to become part of it. And the thing is with Boudoir, this is like if you watch any of the videos I've created about the Boudoir University, with boudoir, it's already an incredibly vulnerable genre of photography. We know this. You're getting naked in front of essentially a stranger. So it's important that we recognize that for people that exist at different intersections of oppression, that vulnerability compounds significantly. Like, and not just in the boudoir industry, but also in the wedding industry. We see it all the time when gay couples reach out with fear that they may be rejected because of who they love. This shouldn't be a thing. This shouldn't be a thing. People should not have anxiety about reaching out to have beautiful images to document their life story. But the reality is that if somebody that exists at intersections of oppression does not know that you can take care of them and will love them and give them this amazing experience, then they're going to have this anxiety and maybe not even reach out because they're going to believe, oh, it's for other people, it's for those people. The other thing that happens in the photography industry, and the whole reason I got into boudoir photography to begin with, is that there's a very select version of person that seems to be, that boudoir seemed to be available for. This was back in 2014. This has obviously changed, but we still see all the time that certain bodies are not represented in the photography industry. Weddings, we rarely see fat brides like existing and loving their life. Like photographers, they may be shooting it, but they're not showing it. That's a problem because it's contributing to the further oppression that fat people can't have love. Right. And so it's like all these different stories that really just after 5 to 6 years of being in the boudoir industry and then the wedding industry prior to that, I was like, I can do something about this. Then it was running my boudoir business and photographing as many bodies as I possibly could get into my studio. But that was only a small portion of what can be done. So, over the last 5 years, I've been collecting stories and data and experiences from other people to figure out, like, okay, I'm at this point now. We need to create a central resource where people can go to ask the hard questions that they're afraid to ask because they're afraid they're going to get persecuted or vilified or whatever. But if it comes from a place of curiosity and literal ignorance, to be honest, then it's okay. But if you are choosing to be that way, then you will not be participating in my program, right? So this is for the people that the Boudoir University is for the people that say they want to have a body positive studio, that say they want to have an inclusive experience, that say all these things, but just don't fucking know how, basically, at the end of the day. So what I sought out for the first, so we call it the 7-pillar program, which is the first foundational program of the Boudoir University. And the 7-pillar program is comprised of 6 amazing educators teaching 7 different courses. And we have everything. So we have Bria Thompson, who's going to teach on mitigating harm. We have Ez Powers, who's teaching on 2 courses, actually. Ez has been wonderful enough to share their experience and, what do you call it, intelligence and all of that good stuff on ableism and how photographers contribute to ableism in the photography industry, but as well as how we can better serve the 2S LGBTQIA community as well. And then Alexandria Johnson is going to be sharing, she shares her experience with therapeutic photography. So she is an educator, a photographer, educator, but also somebody that has experience working with trauma. She used to be a trauma therapist, I want to say. And so she uses photography as a way to help clients work through trauma or use the photography experience. So she's sharing how we can be contributing to things if we're just focused on ourselves and not the client. And then, of course, we brought in Dr. Tomayia Colvin, who created this amazing anti-racism course called Doing the Work, I think is what it was called, back during in July. And so I just asked her, I'm like, can you put that on this platform, because I need people to take your course. And she said yes, that we will do that. So we have her teaching anti-racism and what it means, and that it's not just as simple as putting more Black bodies in your portfolio, but rather asking the question, why aren't these Black bodies here to begin with? Why are people afraid to hire me? Like, what am I not saying and not doing that makes them afraid to book with me in the first place? So asking those questions. And then I'm teaching on body image. So of course, how fatismia, that's now we're moving away from fat phobia into fatismia. It's the same thing, but the fear of being fat, how that plays into our client experience, how we put our own body image issues onto our clients and how we can undo that, and all that good stuff. And help you with your body image issues. So that way you can also be like, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to think like this. And then last but not least, we have Angela Michelle, who's going to be teaching on the importance of understanding sexuality and boudoir. So for the people that do want to go maybe into different realms of boudoir that extend beyond just traditional boudoir into more erotica, and eventually even maybe things like porn and stuff like that, and not shaming people for their preferences. So yeah, so we have an amazing lineup of educators that literally have shared amazing content for you to help build your business. So yeah, I'm just so proud of all these people. Like, you don't even know, like when I have to go through and watch all the courses and stuff like that, and like crying all the time, because I'm just like, these people are so magnificent, and all this good stuff. So yeah, so it's all arranged in order, and I'm going to show you that when I show you what how it's laid out and all that good stuff, and go through that with you. But I wanted everyone to kind of have an idea why this was so important to me to build, is because this doesn't exist in the photography industry. There are people doing individual work, which is fantastic. Like Tomayia is like, she has her anti-racism work. I have the body image work. I know Michael Sasser has a thing for men on how they cannot be creepy in the boudoir industry and confront some of their things. We like Ez does mentoring. They do amazing stuff with that. And like, everybody's doing their individual stuff, but I wanted a central resource where people can come. Now, let me just share with you the vision that I have for this, because I think it's important for you to come with me on the journey with where it started from this little like seed in my head while I was plucking my chin hairs to what I think it can be. So the idea behind it is that the first quarter of 2021 will be like everyone taking the foundational course, which is the 7 different courses built into one. And so you'll get a badge and a description that you can put on your website if you want to. You don't have to, but I recommend it because it will let your clients know that, hey, I'm like, this photographer is actively striving to include me in their work. That's amazing, right? So it's a good thing to have. But if you don't want to, because you're like, I don't want that on my website, that's okay too. Whatever, you're a grown-ass adult. You can do whatever you want. Anywho, after that, in the second quarter of 2021, it is my vision that every quarter we will be able to release an additional like 7 elective courses, which will be individual smaller courses. They'll be like less than an hour, like 30 to 45 minutes. Smaller courses, still in line with each of the pillars that which the university is built on, which is uplifting marginalized folks and letting them know they have a place in the boudoir industry. Basically, that's the gist of it. And the thing is that the electives will include things that might be somebody that has like an editing tutorial on how to edit black skin. Because one of the things that we see all the time is a lot of presets and a lot of editing and stuff like that is geared towards white folks, because the problem with systemic racism is that white is the default. So that means that a lot of the tools that we are given as photographers are geared towards uplifting white folks, where we want to bring up marginalized folks as well. And so we need to educate people on how to do these things that we weren't taught at the beginning of our business. So that's just an example of one. Other things will be different educators speaking on how they create safe spaces, different ways that they themselves help their clients work through body image, different ways that you can transition from shooting traditional boudoir to shooting OnlyFans for clients that want something a bit more steamier, like different things. So the plan is that every quarter, ideally, that we will be able to do this. Now, I do want to make mention that obviously, in order for us to do this ethically and fairly, we did have to put a higher price tag on the initial course. So the early bird right now is at $7.99 paid in full for the Boudoir University 7-pillar program. That's the foundational course. So to kind of reward you for that, so that we can continue to pay educators ethically and fairly going forward, you will get 50% off any of the upcoming electives courses. So that you can look for, you get that as part of taking this most important piece of the Boudoir University. Does that make sense? So yeah. And then, so that's the vision though, is that I want to see this Boudoir University like grow to encompass, and more importantly, and I think this was something that has been missing as well in the boudoir or the photography industry, maybe too. I'm mostly in boudoir. But like, if you don't know someone in the educational world, you may not get an opportunity to share some really great values. Or like, you may have something that you're like, I am really good at this thing, but you may not know how to deliver that as a course or a PDF or whatever. And I wanted the Boudoir University also to be a place where we uplift educators that felt that they never had a shot because of who they were. And so we have a place on the website. If you go to boudoiruniversity.com/educators, I think. And at the bottom, you can pitch your idea to us as long as it fits into one of the pillars. We can help you make it into an amazing course. That is one of my talents, I think. I like to think that I'm pretty good at making courses and like tools and things like that, templates and whatnot. So we can help you take this and put it into a package. But I wanted to make sure that people felt safe, that they could even just suggest that they had an idea. But it is important that you do that work first. So that is the secondary piece to why this platform is really important to me, is to give other people the opportunity to speak up and share their, like I said, the whole reason I learned about understanding more about people's intersections of oppression and whatnot was literally by listening to their stories and their experience. And that's what additional educators can bring to the table. And that's what I want, is I want people that have experiences that they're like, this like was life changing, and I want to share that with people. Okay, cool. If it fits into here, submit it. We may not choose it right away, but we are collecting names in a database and ideas and stuff like that to see where things would fit. So keep that in mind as well if you are if you are considering educating or creating something. Okay. All right. Are we ready for the ribbon cutting? I think that basically covers like why this was so important to me. Now this is gonna be hard because it's not tied to anything, so I'm gonna have to use my cheese. So, ta-da! Yay! Boudoir University is launched. It launched at 9, but whatever, that was still fun. Okay, So now we're going to go on a tour, okay? You're going to have to bear with me though, because this is always a hot mess trying to share my screen while I do this stuff. Okay, let me just go make sure. I'm going to bring up all the pages. I'm going to try to do this in order. Maybe. Okay. Okay, yes. Okay, here we go. Hold up. The Boudoir University.com. Okay, I know you can't see my screen right now, but I will get there in a second. Okay, here we go. Share my screen. Also, if you have questions, I don't think I'll be able to see your questions right away because I'll be working over on my other screen. But once I come back, we'll have like a Q&A. So any questions that you have, feel free to ask, okay? All right. So here we go. So I am sharing. All right. So if you go to the boudoiruniversity.com, this is what you will see. Hopefully, is the website. Now I have to move me out of the way. Okay. So if you're seeing this, lovely, you've probably been here. So this is where you can go to learn all about us, learn all about why we created it, our value statement, which is super important, that we just believe that everyone deserves beautiful photos. But in order to make that happen, we need to create safe, inclusive spaces and experiences for them to have that happen. And then I introduced the 7-pillar program to you. You can see all our beautiful educators, and we opted for the different rainbow things. It all just worked out. I bought this logo like years ago for something totally different. And I've used kind of a similar version of it for Confident Curves back in the day and the Advocates for Body Diversity badge. But being able to fill it in with the rainbow colors was really, it just all worked. And sometimes my brain does that, but we're fine. Okay. And so we're going down. There's a little video from me, which if you're in the Everybody's group, you would have seen it. I basically just shared why it's important and what the course includes. While I was creating this video, I bawled like a baby. When it started to when I put it together and I saw with the music, of course, you know, when you put like music to things, it just like pulls at your heartstrings. Yeah. But when I saw like all the different educators, when I talk about the different educators, that was it. I was done. I was like, everybody's so lovely. So then we talk about the 7 pillars that we focus on here, which I've already touched on in the live today, but essentially all the different ones. And so as you go throughout the course, you essentially collect each of these little badges. So that way you're slowly filling in your little person, which is kind of fun. Here it talks about why we have the different pillars to confront our biases. We all have them. And I think this is really important for people to understand. This isn't calling anybody out. This isn't being like, oh, you were this way. No, we all have our own inner biases and belief systems. And we all have to do this work because in order for us to be kinder people and more understanding, this is what it takes. And if we could do that, the better it will be. Now, I did a bunch of polls on my Instagram. So while these may not seem super scientific, I had a really large pool of people contribute. So I think these are pretty fucking accurate. And I want you to actually take time to consider this. There were a few that really stood out to me that really made a difference. So number one is 98% of people said they would go with a photographer who was educated in the above topic. So I essentially asked that over someone who wasn't. That's like, if you say on your website, like, listen, I am actively striving for inclusivity and diversity and learning all I can about this, chances are a person would feel more comfortable going with you over somebody that doesn't have that information. All right. This one, 82% of people said they have anxiety about inquiring with photographers because of their body shape, size, color, sexual orientation, or gender expression. So people that are more marginalized, we have experienced rejection from a lot of, from the time we're little. Like, I used to be rejected because of my body size all the time. And maybe I don't fit certain whatever in my gender as a woman. Like, you risk. And so the more intersections that you exist at, the more anxiety you will have. So this is like the best thing I can relate it to, because as a fat person, this is why I have a hard time going to the doctor, is because I know that even if I go in for like a cut or something, they'll be like, oh, but maybe have you thought about losing weight? So I have anxiety about going to the doctor, not about the thing that I want to get fixed, but rather that they're going to say something to me that will make me feel shame about myself. And so when it comes to doing photos and having a photo shoot done, I've gotten a fair amount of people that are like, I don't know if this is something you shoot, but like, and it's like, of course I would. What? But that tells me that they've had a rejection for asking for that in the past. And so it's really important for us as photographers to understand that that's what's going on in their mind before they've even booked with us. Yeah, so there's a lot here. 97% of people said that if they'd undergone a trauma in their life, they would prefer the photographer to be trauma aware. Boudoir is very vulnerable. We do touch people, and if you don't know to ask, particularly if you're a male and you just assume that it's fine, you could be causing so much harm to that client and you may not even know it. 70% of people have not booked with someone whose work, oh, that's supposed to say whose work they loved, because they never saw themselves represented on their website and socials. When I first began my photography, the first year in business, I made sure to photograph bodies like mine, which were bigger bodies, which is great. But I was still excluding a large portion of the population. I rarely showed indigenous bodies. I rarely showed black bodies. I rarely showed whatever. But like disabled bodies. And it wasn't anything I was purposefully trying to do. It's just my experience was within this very small container. So I needed to expand my container to start to bring in other experiences and let people know that they are also welcome in my studio, but they can't know that unless they see themselves represented. 83% of people said it was very important for their photographer to use gender neutral terminology. The part that scares me about that is that there's still a certain percentage of people that don't think it's important. Yeah, I think that should be 100%. If you even like, I identify as she and her, which are, on the gender binary, super like the defaults, but I still make sure to ask, and I make sure I disclaim mine because it makes it not everyone is me. And I think that's the important thing. 90 this was a good this was yeah 98% of people said it was very important that their photographer was actively working to be anti-racist and not just not actively racist. So it's not as simple as just putting a black square up or not doing anything at all. If you're like, oh, I'm not racist, or I'm not actively doing it. But the thing is, people want to know that you're actively trying to break down systems that hurt them. So that's a very important one for y'all to know. 99% of people said it was very important for their boudoir photographer to practice safety and consent for both the photographer and the client. And this is one of the things that we saw, and we've heard multiple times, lots of the Me Too kind of moments in the boudoir industry. And that's not okay. That is not okay. That is not okay. That's all I have to say about that. So get your shit together. All right. And then I say here, like, why does this matter? So these are things, common things that people have questions about, or common things that people don't consider, or things like that I've heard come up either from clients that I've had that they're like, this happened to me, and or from other photographers saying like, I didn't realize that when I did this thing that it was actively harming somebody. And I think the important word for me to note here is that it's unintentional. Nobody sets out of their way. Like when we start doing boudoir photography or photography in general, nobody's like, yes, I'm going to harm some people. No, in fact, the opposite is true. We want to help people. We want people to feel good. We want to celebrate people. But when our own biases and belief systems get in the way, we can't see beyond that. So it's imperative that we break those down to truly do the mission that we want to do. All of us, including me, Everybody. All right, so then you can sign up for the 7 strategies. That's also on the Teachable site. What's included, blah, blah, blah. All right, there are bonuses. So like I mentioned earlier, you're going to get 50% off future elective courses. So when you sign up for the 7 Pillars program, in the first thing, which I'll show you, the README part, there will be a coupon code that you can use for future courses. So that's fun. And then we have the pricing. Thank you to Jessica for telling me that I had a mistake on here earlier. So I fixed that up. That's great. And then we'll go here. And then a thank you. So this just thanks you. So even if right now you're like, oh, I can't really afford the Boudoir University, or it's just not in the budget right now, that's totally okay. You sharing this content, or you sharing the Boudoir University with your other like communities and things like that, goes a really long way to helping people know that there is education out there to help them confront these biases. So that goes a long way as well. So, and on that note, I do want to let you know that I did a live earlier in the Everybody's Education group about this. Craig and Larissa at the Boudoir album. Do you know the price post? Yes, I'm going to show you that when we get over to the Teachable site. So Craig and Larissa have offered to do 2 things for us, and it's not on here yet just because I messaged them literally like the day before Christmas Eve, which was not ideal on my part, but that's okay. So I still need to hammer out the details with them. But ideally, what they suggested they would love to do is they would love to sponsor somebody for a scholarship type situation. As well, they are going to offer a discount for anybody that takes the 7 Pillar program, because they have always been huge advocates of progressive work and striving for inclusivity and things like that. All right, so that's enough about the website. I will say, if you do want to learn more, check out your educators, all that good stuff. Click here, directory. Eventually, when you get your badge, you will end up on our directory, which is good for your SEO. But also, when you post the badge on your website, you can link it back so your clients can find out what is the Boudoir University all about. And then there is an FAQ, which basically goes through the ins, outs, and ups and downs, which I'm sure will get gradually longer because today is the first day. And then contact if you have any information that you need. Okay, enough of that. Let's go to the good thing. All right, so you're going to click this button and it will take you here. Now, yours is going to look different than mine because I'm currently logged in. So I'm going to switch my screen. Let me see. Hold on if this works. Hold up. So there's the 7 strategies because I enrolled in that today. But I did bring up, and I don't know if this will work, so we're going to find out. Oh, it did. Okay, great. Okay, so when you go to the, oh, you know what I'm going to do? Hold on. What? It always brings me to the admin page. So here we go. If I go all courses, there we go. So this is what you'll see when you go to here. Okay, so if we click the 7 pillars, that's the one you're looking for. Or if you go to, this is the problem. It keeps me logged in all the time, so I hate it. Hold on, my friends. I promise this isn't my first day on the job. Oh, here it is. Ha ha ha. Let me just do something real quick. Da da da. Hold up. Boudoir University. Oh, why is it logged me in? Hold on, I need to log out for a moment over here. Okay, so when you go to it, this is the thing. If I me something totally different. So I'm going to stop sharing this one for a second, and I'm going to share a different one. Application window. Okay, so when you go to it, this is what it's going to look like. The Boudoir University, developing empathetic, ethical, and empowered photographers through education. So there's my little welcome video. It tells you, again, what I'm all about. We say it's the course for photographers who give a damn. And the reason for that is we want to make sure that you do care. So let's do it. A little bit about me and why I created the Boudoir University, and then our courses. So here you go. So you can sign up for the free 7 strategies to start building an inclusive business, but ultimately the one you will want is the 7 Pillars program for more information. And then we have lovely Megan has left us a lovely little testimonial there. All right, so we're going to stop sharing that. Hold on. This is such a hot mess, but that's okay. You know what? We're embracing chaos. All right. Oh, did I even show you that? Sorry, friends. Sorry. All right. Anyways, when you get to the 7-pillar program, that's what you're looking for. Oh, God. Why did they make this so difficult on here? Okay, let me get back to it over here. So the 7-pillar program is kind of what you're looking for. This tells you, it shows you all your educators again, talks about why this work is so important. Hopefully we don't get in trouble for that photo. Again, similar information, beautiful photos by Ez and Alexandria there. So here is an example of your curriculum. This is kind of what it's going to look like for you. So I'm going to go through this in more details if I am a student, so you can see what that looks like. But this just gives you, when you go to this page, it gives you this. So you can choose a pricing option. And so there's different ones here. So I want to point out the ones that say early bird pricing. Those are the ones that will be available until January 1st, 2021. Once January 1st hits, the price will go up. And these are the prices that you can expect after January 1st. Okay. So just so you're aware of that. So you can save about $50 by purchasing before January 1st. Even if you do any of the payment plans, it'll lock you into that payment plan, which is super great. So yeah. So then you could do these ones later. So we wanted to show what it is and then what it will be. So don't get too confused there. There's not, make sure you choose the early bird one if you plan on signing up before January 1st. Once January 1st comes along, then there will only reflect the 3 different options here. Okay. So hopefully that helped. And then we have another lovely testimonial by Avery, which is super great. Okay, so now let me go to the course. So hang tight. Where is it here? Which one? 7, admin, badge and description. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is what it looks like when you're signed in as a student. So the read me first is the very first thing that you're going to want to click on. There is a little video from myself showing you how to go through the course because there are a few restrictions. And why? Do you still have access? Yeah, you still have access to the courses doing the payment plans. No, not a silly question. No such thing as silly questions. No, it'll just automatically bill you for 4 to 8 months. That's it. So it'll just come out. Yeah. So ideally don't be a dick and cancel it. I don't even know if that's possible, but yeah, doing the yeah. So do that. Okay, so when you get in, here's the thing is that you have to do the read me first and then watch the things and all that good stuff. And this is where I'm not going to go down too far because that is where we have the code for the thing. There's a nice picture of me wearing the shirt I'm wearing right now. So yeah, we're not going to go any further, but it basically walks you through how to do the thing. Now look at this. It says complete and continue. And it says you must complete all lecture material before progressing, which means I have to watch this video before it will actually let me go forward. That's right. Before you can move forward on any of these, you need to finish the things. And now it knows you have to watch 90% of your video, and you can't skip ahead on any of the videos. And the reason for that is because I know some things people be like, oh, I already know this stuff. Oh, I already know about racism. I already know about ableism or I already know about a body image because I do my own work. There may be things you don't know. So I made it set up so you have to watch 90% of the video before you can progress. And you'll experience that in here for this part. So once you do that, then the next part down is meeting your educator and all that good stuff. So here you'll get their information. I highly encourage you to check out the information about your people. You want to know why they're passionate about the information they're teaching you, or at least you should want to know, and all that good stuff. And then once you're done that, you'll click the complete and continue up at the top, which I'm going to do here. Doot. And it will take you to the next thing, which will be the video. So this is where you'll want to watch their video all the way through before you continue. Once you're done that, then you'll click complete and continue up at the top, and then you'll get to your PDFs and resources. And this is where they'll have additional resources for you. So you can download those. All the PDFs and resources will be downloadable aside from the text, I think. So you can just copy and paste that. And then after that, you'll have an assessment. Yay! This is why we have to watch our videos, because you will have to take the test. Now, I will say they are multiple choice. And I know a lot of times multiple choice can make people nervous. But here's the thing. They are select all that apply. So in all the cases of all the questions, if there's more than one answer, there is more than one answer usually. Unless it's like true or false, in which case there's only two. But you get the point. So just select all that apply. You get multiple. You can take it over and over and over again until you get it. It's completely self-paced, so you get to go through it. Now, why did we choose to do this? Is because I wanted to make sure that you actually understood the information you were taking in. And this is really important because I didn't want it so people could just cruise on through and be like, yes, I got this badge. Now I can do this and continue unintentionally causing harm. No. The hope is that by you actually listening to people's stories and actually listening to the course content, you will actually be changed as a human. So that way, taking the assessment lets me know that you actually participated and took in some of the information. And that is important. We don't just want this to be all willy-nilly. This is take your time with it. This is some tough shit. And then once you're done your assessment and you've passed, yay, then you get to collect your badge. So there is just a download here. So I will click it. Hopefully it'll show up. Oh, it just like downloaded it to my computer. So never mind. But it basically is the first badge in the thing. And then you can click complete and continue, and then it'll move you into the next thing. Okay, so that's kind of how the course works. Every course is set up pretty much the same format. Meet your educator, video, PDFs and resources, assessment and badge, so on and so forth, all the way down until you get to your badge description and addition to directory. So what that looks like, and let me see, where did I put it? Hold on, I had it up here. Oh, did I go away from it? Hold. Okay, we're just going to click on it. Perfect. Ta-da. So then once you're at the end, I will never be a dick on purpose. That's great. So once you're at the end, then there's a little video from me just like congratulating you on finishing it. There's the words that you can use on your thing, kind of a description. There's different PNGs if you want, and then a link that you can join to get to the to get onto our directory. So yeah, and that's just a great way to let your clients know that you have gone through this work, you're actively striving for inclusivity, etc., etc. And yeah, and all the courses you can see they have different lengths of time. So like Bria's 30 minutes, Ez's 58 minutes, Alexandria's 46 minutes, Tomaya's 85 minutes, mine 94 minutes. So some have multiple videos, some have just one video. It really depends on that. So we tried to like cap it so it's like more of the harder, more intense stuff happens in the middle, and then you can finish off with like a few like lighter. By that point you'll have a better understanding. So Bria starts it off because mitigating harm is kind of the theme for all the courses, and then sexuality and boudoir just kind of like ties it all together with talking about the idea of consent and bringing things together there. All right. So that is kind of it. We tried to keep it as simple as possible. I hope that I achieved that. If there are any questions along the way, I will say if you sign up for the 7 Pillar program, you do get access to to the Boudoir University Facebook group, which is your place to dump all your aha moments, or your like fuck this is hards, or your questions that you are afraid to ask out loud, and myself and the other educators will do our best to be available to answer those questions. But ultimately it is a safe, non-judgmental space for you to ask the hard questions, confront your biases and belief systems. And I will say, at the end of the day, while it's great that you go through all this and you get the badge and all that good stuff, as you will see by going through the course, that you will understand, hopefully, that the work is not done. The work is only beginning by taking these courses. I will say one of the things I did add in at the end to each of the courses, which I think will be beneficial because I realize not everyone kind of processes information the same, is that in the PDFs and resources of each section, there is like a checklist. So different things, like actual actionable steps that you can start to take, like right as soon as you're done learning it, that you could start to apply to kind of be like, okay, I did that, or I'm doing that, and things that you could be more cautious of right away. We didn't want it to just be theory and things like that. We also wanted to give you actionable steps to literally create a more inclusive, safe experience for your clients, and help make you a better photographer, but more importantly, a better fucking human. Like, if you have my phrase is always the same. Like, if I have the opportunity to be a better human, why would I not take it? Well, right? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So that is kind of like my contribution to the world, I guess, is this, and hopefully it will start to change the landscape of the photography industry. And let our clients know too, because I'm talking about this on my Terry Hofford page, so I'm sure clients have checked out a long time ago. Oh, here we go. Perfect. No, I was going to say makeup artists could take it. Eventually, the plan is too, with our electives courses, that we will have makeup artists teaching how to do makeup for Black skin and trans folks and things like that, and all these different things on how to just be more inclusive. You know what I mean? So yeah, anybody, I truly think, while it says the Boudoir University, I literally think anybody that's on your team should have to go through it, because they need to also be on the same page as you, because they are also interacting with your clients. So yes, that is a very good point, Jesse. Thank you for asking that question. While the stuff we talk about is very boudoir specific sometimes, like, you know, how we work with clients, posing and stuff like that, there are business suggestions that are before people even come into your studio. So that would be definitely beneficial to anybody, anywhere in the world. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm gonna take this away so you could just look at my lovely face. Oh, there we go. And so, yeah, so that's the Boudoir University, and that's kind of where it's starting, is there. Eventually, like I said, by the end of the first quarter, our hope is to have an additional 7 courses, which will be electives. Now, I will specify with the electives are going to be their own cost. So if you are somebody that doesn't want to take the 7-pillar program, that's totally fine. You can still purchase the electives courses, but you'll have to pay full price. Whereas if you take the 7-pillar program, you will get 50% off the full price of the electives courses. So you'll save some money just by being a good human, essentially. Yes, it is watchable more than once. You can go back. Absolutely. You'll have lifetime access to all the content. If for some reason we need to shift platforms or anything like that, what we'll do is we'll make everything downloadable at that point, let you know within like 30 to 60 days. So you have time to go in, download all the content, and then have it on your computer. But at this point, it is only going to be, aside from the PDFs and stuff like that, the videos will be hosted only on the site. But you can, if you zip ahead, complete and continue to collect your badge, but you want to go back, yeah, absolutely. You just press, let me see if it showed up here. 1 second. You got great questions. I'm living for this. Yeah, if you got more questions, keep them coming. I like, it's easier for me to answer questions, to be honest, even though it sounds like I like to talk. All right, share. Here we go. Boop. Okay, so if I am, let me go, what page is that? Hold on. I have like 7 windows of everybody else. So up here, it'll say like previous lecture. So even though you're completed and continued, you can literally just go back to the previous lectures. Or once they're unlocked, you can then go to them over here. So if like while I'm able to click on anything, it's because I'm the admin, so it has me logged in as an admin person. I wonder if I have it. No, it still signs me in. When you go to this, it'll say you have to like finish the one before it. So you can't jump ahead to watch video, but you can definitely go back once it's unlocked to watch it. So just click like previous lecture, or over on the left-hand side, you'll be able to click on the little dots to do that. So I hope that answered that question. All right. Do we have any other questions that people have? The other thing is, I will say the educators have each put their information at the end of their course. So if you have a specific question for each educator, feel free to reach out to them directly in regards to the content if you don't understand something, and they will respond as soon as they can that way. So this is important to all of us. They would not have signed up to be an educator for this platform if it wasn't important to them to share this message. So they will help in any way that they can, provided it's within their boundaries of work boundaries. So don't be like at 3 a.m. and send a message and be like, they never responded. Okay, well, stop sending messages at 3 a.m. So keep that in mind. But ultimately, this information is really important, and we want to make sure that as many people get their hands on it as possible. So if you know anybody that you think would benefit from this, please share the link just to the Boudoir University website, so people can read more about it and understand it. Overall, my hope is that within let's say within 5 years of photographers taking this content, the hope is that it will become the standard. Like inclusivity, equity, diversity, all of these things, that this will become the standard for the boudoir and the photography industry as a whole. And clients, I hope, will feel comfortable to ask for these questions. Like, hey, I'm watching your social media and I noticed that you didn't say anything, that you're not actively protesting against certain things, or you're not like, I want clients to understand that they can also set expectations about what they are looking for in terms of a photographer. Just because you like somebody's work doesn't mean they can treat you like an asshole. You know what I mean? And I think that's really important for us as professionals to know. But that being said, I also think it's important that us as professionals, that we set the things and say, listen, here is what I'm doing. Here's what I'm trying to do. Here's why I do the things that I do. And then let the client make their ultimate decision on whether or not that's in line with who they are. And that's fine. Let them decide, but you have to be able to educate on why you do what you do. And hopefully the plan is that these courses will give you the confidence to be able to say why you do what you do. The other thing that I think is really important with this kind of content is that most of us, the boudoir photographers, have Facebook groups. Yeah, yay, nay, maybe. If you're following me, you probably do. The thing is our Facebook groups are made up of humans, complex humans, a variety, diverse humans. If you can create an inclusive, safe environment for the most marginalized people, it will become that much safer for everyone. So the intent is to help you know, what can I do to protect the most marginalized people in this environment? Letting and understanding that by doing those things, it will actually protect everyone else. That's what inclusivity is, right? So, yeah. So things to think about. There's a lot of different aspects that go into running our business, and all of them involve humans. So I think it's really important that we have this content. All right. Do we have any other questions? I've kept you here for like an hour. I'm sorry. I was just really excited and I love talking about the shit. But do we have any other questions that I can answer before we go? Before I go? I have to go take my self-portrait today. I made a nice set design, so I have to go do that. For those of you that have stuck around and listened to me, thank you so much. If you do have questions, I'm in the Everybody's group. Feel free to tag me in the Everybody's group. Shoot me an email at theboudoiruniversity@gmail.com. Yeah, I think that's about it. But yeah. And hopefully we'll see you in the course. All right. Bye.